Alright, so I'm getting this cover back together. You can see I got it all fiberglassed in there. I covered up the hole. I'm not going to use that handle. These are the frames. See, I got good fiberglass. This is not coming loose. I got the frames for it, but I'm not going to be able to use those frames because here's the hinge. And it would have to sit like that far off so it didn't, even that far back, it still wants to hit. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make my own high hinges. I may even run off of this another piece of angle iron and make a hinge point out here. Shouldn't be a big deal. I'll figure that out when I get to it. So I'm going to leave the front edge alone for now. I don't want to work that front edge and just to cut it back up for hinges. I'm going to go ahead and work on the back. So it's coming along good. I don't see, I'm going to use my frame. I mean, I got a metal frame here. So to hinge off of that, and this 1/8, that's 10 times heavier than that. So yeah, I won't be able to use this at all, I guess. Which it doesn't really matter. I mean, I'll use it somewhere. Whatever works best. But if I put that fulcrum point of the hinge up high instead of at the bottom, see, then I'm going to be pivoting from the top so I can keep it nice and snug. I definitely want that to lift. I mean, I could just make some brackets to bolt it on so it doesn't lift and then just be able to take it off. But I definitely want it to lift. Like I said, though, it's not like I'm going to be hauling gravel in this little truck. Oh, killing me in the sun. It's like 92 degrees out. But that's awesome for the fiberglass because that shit dries so quick. Got the frame bolted in. It's not moving. So I got a nice bead of seam sealer there. So I'm sealed up there. It's all sealed in. Bolted all the way around, all the way across the back. Had to do some clamping back here because I gotta get a couple nuts on those bolts. I got bolt, stud, bolt, stud, bolt. But where I put the two studs, that hole's still not big enough to get a socket up in it to get a nut on it. So I'll just leave it clamped and I'll come back to it. The 3M glue should glue it down, but I still want to have all those bolts in there. The stud's fine. I mean, the stud's deep into the bumper. It'll keep it, it's not moving, but I'd still like to get a nut up on the bottom. So another hot day. Another bunch of work to do. Just working on the top because with the frame on now, the top will be like a lid for me. So that's kind of next step, getting the top done. Quarter panels, the bed sides ain't nothing. Also up here, see, I got to do work. I got to get it to trim because I just cut that off. I mean, I measured it and just cut it with that circular saw, but I can see right here I'm a little on the other side of my line, so it wasn't perfect. So what I'm going to do is block this so it doesn't go all the way up to the cab and give me like an inch of room to come back and work with later. Square it up, then I got to cut these off. Then I'm going to go ahead and do the back. But you can see here with the plastic off, see how the angle, I changed the angle of this top. See how it's sort of on the angle of the cab? Well, that's just sitting on here, so it's a little further to that side. Yeah, I get it evened up. I got to get it into place. It should be about like that. So see, that looks way better than the way before it was out here. It was about an inch past, coming out like that. All right, so taking a look how this lid fits on here. You see it's a little bit wider. The back of my cab here is a Tacoma. But anyways, it's a little bit wider. And see the angle here. See how it slopes out instead of down? About where it'll sit. It sits flat on my frame. I need to seal it. And what I'm going to do with the side, because like I said, you see how the hood's fat at the back and narrows, tapers down. So this side, once I get this all cut, I'm going to trim this. I've got a good inch and a half, 2 inches. So I'm going to trim this, leave this as its full length, and I'm going to come back to the back, and you can see where I can go up to there. A little less, probably about there. So it'll be about maybe an inch and a quarter back here and 2 in the front, and then it's going to taper forward and go down as it, or if you come from the front, it's going to go up. So this will be narrower at the back, wider at the front, and that should kind of give me similar to the hood, wider at the back, and then it tapers narrow at the front. So that'll be doing the same thing, wider at the back of the cabin, then taper up to a point. Actually, I'm going to have that wing, I think I'm going to use that piece that I had, the piece that I cut off of here, I think I'm going to use as a wing. It'll overhang about here, so it'll give me a little more room to narrow up. Plus this gets cut off. And then what I got to do back here, I got to cut this inside out a little more, because I'm going to have to, this was a little big, but just to give you an idea, I'm going to have to get some marine wood, a piece of marine oak, like a 1x, and it's going to go straight across inside the back of this. So it'll come down, it'll be like a top to this frame. It'll come down inside the frame. That way when I put the tailgate on, that'll be my latch, or my hinge, because the tailgate's going to lift up. But yeah, look, man, it fits perfect right on that rail where it should be. If I put these rubber stoppers back in it, it centers it. But I gotta center it myself where I need it. And clamp it down and start working on it. So we're getting there, slowly but surely.